My hands were shaking so badly I couldn't hold the pen. Every eye in that conference room was on me. My boss had just said, "Real men don't get tired, Michael, you just need to push harder." And that's when something inside me simply broke. My legs gave out, my vision blurred, and before I could process what was happening, I was on the floor, crying uncontrollably, in front of 17 coworkers. I was 34 years old, a sales manager, father of 2, and I had just had a complete nervous breakdown in the middle of a quarterly review meeting. What nobody knew was that this moment wasn't the beginning of my fall. It was just when everyone could finally see the hole I'd been in for months. If you want to know how a man who seemed to have everything under control hit rock bottom, and what happened after the entire company saw my weakest moment, you need to stay until the end of this video. And if you're a man feeling overwhelmed, exhausted, or thinking you need to be strong all the time, subscribe to this channel right now, because stories like mine might literally save your life. My name is Michael. I'm 34 years old, I live in Chicago. And for 10 years I built a solid career at a tech multinational. I started as a sales assistant and climbed step by step until reaching sales manager. On paper, my life was enviable. 6-figure salary, luxury car, condo in Lincoln Park, beautiful wife, 2 healthy kids. My parents looked at me with pride. My friends asked for career advice. On social media, I was that guy. Pictures from trips, fancy restaurants, smiling family. But nobody saw what happened when I closed the bathroom door at 6 in the morning, before the kids woke up. Nobody knew I cried in the shower almost every day. That my heart would race for no apparent reason. That I was taking 3, sometimes 4 caffeine pills a day just to function. That I hadn't slept more than 4 hours a night for 7 months. And that, for the first time in my life, I had thought about simply disappearing. It all started about a year ago when our company went through an aggressive restructuring. 3 managers were fired, and their teams were absorbed by those who remained. Overnight, my team jumped from 8 to 23 people. My targets tripled. My meeting hours extended from 7 in the morning to 9 at night. Weekends became strategic planning days. Vacation was temporarily suspended until the company stabilizes. At first, I accepted it. After all, I was a man, a provider, strong. My father worked in a factory for 35 years without complaining. My grandfather built houses with his own hands while raising 6 children. Who was I to complain about staying a few extra hours in an air-conditioned office? This narrative echoed in my head every time my body begged for rest. My wife Sarah started noticing changes. I was irritable, explosive over any little thing. My 6-year-old son asked me to play catch one Saturday, and I yelled at him. Yelled. At a child. For asking me to play. I saw his lip tremble, his eyes fill with tears, and he left the room in silence. Sarah looked at me with an expression I'd never seen before. It wasn't anger. It was fear. Fear of me. That night I apologized on my knees to my son, and he hugged me and said, "It's okay, Dad." But it wasn't okay. And I knew it. But here's what I haven't told you yet, and what will make everything make sense. 3 months before that breakdown, I went to the doctor for the first time in 7 years. My wife practically dragged me. I had lost 26 pounds. My blood pressure was through the roof. My face was gray. The doctor ordered tests and prescribed antidepressants. I never even filled the prescription. You know why? Because the next day, my boss called me into his office and said, "Michael, you're our cornerstone. Men like you sustain companies. I can't lose you now." And that made me feel necessary, validated, masculine. So I thought, I'll hang on a little longer. Real men don't take antidepressants. Real men don't quit. The following weeks were a spiral. I started having panic attacks in traffic. Had to pull over 3 times because I thought I was having a heart attack. My libido disappeared completely, which created tension in the marriage. Sarah tried to talk, and I deflected. My friends invited me out, and I made excuses. I was isolating myself, but in my distorted mind, I was being focused and dedicated. Then that day came. First Monday of September. Quarterly results meeting. Full room. Directors present. My boss, Marcus, was that old school type. Started selling door to door, built his career through grit, as he said. To him, tiredness was weakness. Stress was a loser's excuse. And he made that clear in every aggressive motivational speech he gave. I was already bad that morning, had slept 2 hours, threw up breakfast. My hands were shaking, but I went. Because men go, men show up, men deliver results no matter what happens, right? The meeting started normal. Numbers, charts, targets. Then it was my turn to present. I stood up, turned on the projector, started talking. And in the middle of the second sentence, I froze. Completely forgot what I was going to say. Everyone stared at me. Awkward silence. I tried to read the slides, but the letters seemed to dance on the screen. My heart was beating so hard I could hear it inside my head. Marcus sighed loudly in that dramatic way and said, "Michael, are you okay? You look tired." I responded with a trembling voice. "Sorry, Marcus, it's just that I'm really exhausted. Haven't been sleeping well." What he said next was burned into my soul like a branding iron. Exhausted? Michael, you're 34, not 64. Real men don't get tired. You just need to push harder, stop the whining, and deliver results. This isn't a spa, it's a company. Some people laughed, that nervous laugh of people who don't know how to react. And that was it. That exact second. Something inside me broke. It wasn't gradual, it was instantaneous. Like a rubber band being stretched to the limit and simply snapping. My legs gave out. I tried to lean on the table, but my knees buckled. I fell sideways into the chair, which spun, and I collapsed on the floor. And then came the tears. Not that controlled crying. It was a deep, guttural, desperate sobbing. I was having a complete nervous breakdown, and there was nothing I could do to stop it. What you need to understand is that in that moment, I wasn't thinking rationally. My brain had simply shut down. It was pure body reacting to months of abuse, neglect, and denial. I heard voices around me, but they seemed distant, muffled. Someone lifted me up. Someone took me to another room. Someone called the ambulance. I woke up in the hospital 3 hours later. Sarah was by my side, holding my hand, crying. The doctor came in and said something that changed my life. "Michael, your body went into protection mode. You had a severe burnout episode combined with acute panic attack. If you don't stop now, the next collapse could be cardiac. And that one could be fatal." I stayed 5 days hospitalized. The first 2, I just slept. My body literally shut down to recover. On the 3rd day, I received a visit from a psychiatrist. And for the first time in my life, I talked. I talked about the pressure, about feeling inadequate, about the fear of failing, about the toxic narrative that men have to endure everything. And for the first time, someone told me, feeling isn't weakness, resting isn't failure, asking for help isn't cowardice. But here comes the twist nobody expected, and that completely changed my perspective on everything that happened. On the 4th day of hospitalization, I received an unexpected visit. It was Jake, one of the salespeople on my team, a 28-year-old guy, super outgoing, always joking, always smiling. He walked into the room, sat in the chair next to the bed, and before I could even say anything, he started crying. And then he told me something that destroyed me. "Michael, I was going to kill myself that weekend. Had everything planned. Letter written. Method chosen. I can't take this pressure anymore. This pace. This inhumane demands. But when I found out what happened to you in the meeting, something changed. Because if even you, who's the strongest guy I know, broke, then maybe the problem isn't me. Maybe I'm not weak. Maybe the system is what's broken." I was speechless. That kid was on the verge of suicide, and nobody knew. Just like nobody knew about me. And suddenly I realized, my breakdown, the most humiliating moment of my life, had saved someone's life. My involuntary vulnerability had given permission for another man to admit he was also suffering. In the following days, 3 other men from my team reached out to me, all with similar stories: exhaustion, anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts. All pretending to be fine because men don't show weakness, and all suffering in silence until my public collapse tore down that curtain of invincibility. When I was discharged, I made the scariest decision of my life. I quit, without having another job, without plan B, just the certainty that my mental health was worth more than any salary. Sarah supported me completely. We sold the luxury car, traded the Lincoln Park condo for a smaller one in a different neighborhood, cut costs, and restructured our life. I started therapy twice a week. Psychiatrist adjusted my medication. I spent 3 months just existing, resting, reconnecting with my kids, rebuilding my marriage. And slowly, very slowly, I started feeling human again. 6 months later, I opened my own sales consulting firm, but with completely different values. I work 6 hours a day, don't take meetings on weekends, prioritize mental health over accelerated growth. And you know what's funny? I'm making less money, but for the first time in years, I'm genuinely happy. Jake left that company a month after me. Today he works with me. We made a pact. We'll never perpetuate the culture that almost killed us. The other guys also left. Some sought treatment. Others changed careers. But they're all alive. And that's what matters. As for my ex-boss Marcus, I heard through the grapevine that the company received 6 lawsuits for workplace harassment after I left. An internal investigation was opened. He was removed. I don't feel satisfaction about that. Just sadness for a man so trapped in the same toxic chains that almost killed me. Today, when I look back, I realize that my breakdown wasn't my end. It was my rebirth. It was the moment when the performative Michael died, and the authentic Michael could finally be born. Did it hurt? It hurt more than any physical pain I've ever felt. Was it humiliating? At the time, yes. But today, I see there's no shame in being human. If you're a man listening to me now, pay attention. You don't have to be strong all the time. You're not a machine. Crying doesn't make you less of a man. Asking for help doesn't make you a coward. Resting doesn't make you lazy. And if you're on the verge of collapse, please don't wait to fall in front of 17 people in a conference room to ask for help. Find a therapist. Talk to someone. Call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, 988. Your value isn't in your productivity. Your masculinity isn't in your ability to endure pain. And your life is worth infinitely more than any target, any position, any salary. If this story touched you, subscribe to the channel, leave your like, and especially, share it with that friend you know is going through something similar. Sometimes a story is all someone needs to realize they're not alone. See you in the next video. And remember, it's okay to not be okay. Take care.